Hey guys, I just wanted to drop in and follow up with you after your annotated bibliography submissions. The whole point of an annotated bibliography is for you to evaluate the sources that you're going to use in your upcoming research paper or documented essay. You will be required to use three sources, and one of your sources has to be the textbook, one of the articles in the textbook. So you were to find two other sources using the Alabama Virtual Library and the databases there. And the reason I suggested the Alabama Virtual Library and the databases because I wanted to make sure that your sources are credible sources. As you all know, anybody can put anything on the internet. And that's why you are instructed to always stay away from sites like Wikipedia or sites that end in .com, because .com is short for commercial, and usually there's something that's trying to be sold. So if you did not use the Alabama Virtual Library and the databases like EBSCOhost or Gale to locate your sources, then you will need to do that. Now, some of you skipped ahead and you actually wrote an essay instead of completing the annotated bibliography assignment. So I am returning that assignment to you and asking you to do it correctly and resubmit the annotated bibliography. I would like to see your summary of your sources and also how you plan to use these sources in your paper before you write your actual paper. So anyway, if you receive your annotated bibliography and I've asked you to resubmit it, please do so so that you can receive credit for that assignment. Now, once you write your research paper, the hard part has already taken place because you've read your sources, you've evaluated them, and you know how you're going to use them in your paper. So now all you have to do is write your paper. You don't have to resubmit your annotated bibliography with your paper. You will have a works cited page, and you will list your three sources on your works cited page. But make sure you review your annotated bibliography, because if there was anything incorrect when you listed your sources, you need to make those corrections before you list them on your works cited page, which you will include with your documented essay. Now, your documented essay is worth 200 points, so you want to do some of your best writing. There are so many resources available to you, like the Writing Lab, the STARS Institute. You can come by my office and we can have a conference, or you can give me a call and we can have a telephone conference. But I will be looking for MLA format. I will, of course, look for parenthetical documentation. When you use information from your sources in your essay, you have to document those sources using parenthetical documentation. Now, so in other words, if you have a quote from one of your sources, at the end of that quote, I'm going to expect to see the author's name and the page number, which will tell me where you got that information. If you summarize some information from one of your sources, you still have to document where you got that information from. So if you have statistics in your paper or dates and things of that nature, I know you didn't make that up. You got that information from somewhere, so you have to document that in your paper. Now, if you turn in a documented essay without any documentation, what you're basically saying is that all of this information came from my brain. And that, of course, is not the case because you used sources. So those sources have to be documented within the body of your essay, and then you have to list the 3 sources in alphabetical order according to the author's last name. If there is no author, then you can alphabetize it according to the title. But all of this information will be available to you. I'm starting to wonder if some of you are reviewing the videos, the assignment notes, the examples that I post, because I don't understand how I'm receiving some of the assignments I'm receiving if you've looked at the examples. And you should just follow the examples that I send to you. So anyway, I can't stress enough how important it is for you to review the notes on your annotated bibliography and to review everything that I send you, videos, notes, examples. If you're unsure of anything, contact me. Go to the Writing Lab. You have an online tutorial service. If you submit your paper early enough, they'll review it and get it back to you with notes. But it's really important that you take this assignment seriously and you do your best work. I will provide a rubric so you will know exactly how your paper is going to be graded. I will also provide, and the rubric can be used as a checklist. So when it says heading, you can say check. I have my heading. If it says introduction, I have introduced my topic. Thesis statement. Your thesis statement should be a sentence at the end of your introductory paragraph that lets me know what side of the argument you're going to take. And then, of course, in your 3 body paragraphs, you're going to argue for the position you've taken on whatever issue you've decided to write on. You also have to have a counter argument and a rebuttal in your paper. In other words, you've got to tell me what the opposition would say and how you would respond to that. Okay? For example, if I was arguing for capital punishment, which is not one of your topics, but if I was arguing for capital punishment, perhaps my thesis would be that the justice system in the United States should use capital punishment more often than it does. Okay? So that's the position I've taken, and I'm going to argue that we should use capital punishment more. And let's say in the first body paragraph, I'm going to argue that it would be cheaper to use capital punishment than to house prisoners for life, and taxpayers have to pay for their food and medical expenses and those kinds of things. So I'm going to argue for capital punishment for an economic reason. And then in the second body paragraph, perhaps I'll argue that we should use capital punishment more because if we did, it would deter other criminals from making committing those same crimes. Okay, and then in my third body paragraph, my rebuttal, the counter argument would be something like, however, there are many who believe that capital punishment is immoral and that no one should take someone's life. Now, I need to provide a rebuttal to that, okay? So, because there's the best way to win an argument is to always anticipate what the opposition is going to say and be prepared to respond to it, okay? And so I will use my sources to support the points or the arguments I'm making in my paper. And whatever content I use from my sources, I have to document that using parenthetical documentation, okay? So that is what you have coming up. And I look forward to reading your research papers or documented essays. You have a lot of you selected to write on, let's see, I think most of you, well, the majority of you chose well, maybe not the majority, but a lot of you wrote on neuro-enhancing drugs. Some of you wrote on college sports and how it's destroying collegiate life. Um, Anyway, I'm looking forward to reading your papers on your topic. I had several of you to write on white privilege, but it doesn't matter what topic you've selected. Just take a position and defend the position you've taken. And like I said, provide a counter argument and a rebuttal. And all of these things are listed on the rubric. So, just check them off once you've determined that you have all of the necessary elements in your paper. And I look forward to reading your documented essays. And once again, if you've been asked to resubmit your annotated bibliography, please do that immediately so that I can evaluate your sources and you can get started on your next assignment. Thank you.